that's driving me up a wall. It is what it is. All right, John, let's keep rolling. I want to thank everybody for being here. We're going to go into another segment here. We're going to talk a little bit about DeVonta Smith this morning. And obviously, he's a player who's drafted 10th overall by the Philadelphia Eagles. I think by all things, by everybody watching, I think he's been a pretty good player. I think everybody's been pretty happy with the draft pick, but hasn't quite had the opportunity to elevate his game to the next level, to become one of the elite wideouts in football. I think he has the talent to do it. John, when you look at DeVonta Smith, when you look at where he is in his career, how do you see DeVonta coming into this year? And I'm not even talking about yet whether he's wide receiver 1 or any of those things, but just talking about the player. You've been complimentary of him this season, just in that he was the one guy who kind of maintained last year, and a lot of guys did not play well. DeVonta coming into, year 5 for DeVonta, I think? Year 5 for DeVonta Smith. How do you see him coming in this year?
It'll be year 6. You're getting up there, DeVonta. No, I'm joking. But
they're all getting up there.
Yeah.
Even Jalen Hurts is 28 years old, I think, this year.
Yeah, he's been, I often think, because I remember DeVonta's first season was Nick's first season. And I remember a couple things. I remember they had struggled in the Doug Peterson era just to find competent receivers after Alshon Jeffrey. The Travis Fulgham days and Jalen Reagor days and all that kind of stuff. Greg Ward, I remember Greg Ward was a pseudo star. By the way, Greg Ward is still playing in the UFL.
That's amazing. Jody Mack loved Greg Ward.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, he did. He loved him.
But he wasn't the only one. I'm not picking on Jody. He wasn't the only one. And Greg Ward, by the way, is only 30 years old. Can you believe that? Seems like he's been around forever.
It does.
But at one time, he was their best option for catching the football. And I just remember seeing DeVonta Smith for the first time, and Nick's first year, they had they were doing some weird things, and they had sort of what is that kid's game with the rope? I can't think of it. They had this football on the end of a rope, and they would just snap it back and forth. And I was like, this guy's just different. I mean, he was so far and above everything they had in the previous years. And then 2022 came, and they traded for AJ, and they had both of them. And I was like, wow. I remember saying 2022 to Jody. I remember saying, this is the best tandem of Eagles receivers of all time.
You said it before they played a game, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From a talent perspective, obviously, longevity, and they got to be together. But it has held true. It is the best tandem of wide receivers the Eagles have ever had. And DeVonta's a great player. The one concern we all had was his frame. Can he hold up? And he's been he's amazingly physical for his size. He's only missed a few games here and there in his career. He's very wiry. He's almost like built out of wire. He's just a great football player. And I don't have any doubt that he could be a wide receiver 1 in this league. Any doubt.
We do feel like, because, I feel like, John, there's that fine line, right? Of and DeVonta, I don't know if he's just been put in it because of the situation he's in, but it's true wide receiver 1 or just an elite wide receiver 2 or the best wide receiver 2. You know what I mean? It's him and T. Higgins are kind of on that line. I think DeVonta's better, but I do think
I kind of look at it it depends on everything, depends on definitions, but there's 32 teams, so there's 32 wide receiver 1s. Is he one of the best 32 receivers? Yeah, undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. Now, if you're talking about elite, is he Chase? Is he Jefferson? Is he AJ in his prime? AJ at his height? He's still in his prime, so I shouldn't say that.
I don't know if he's in his prime, John. Me and you disagree on that one. I think AJ's prime might be done and dusted.
Well, maybe, but is he AJ? So I'll use the term height. No, not quite at that level.
How about this? Can be the wide receiver 1 on a Super Bowl winning football team?
Yeah. I don't even think you need. Last time I looked, Chase hasn't won one. Jefferson hasn't won one.
Yeah, but I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that.
Super Bowl teams tend to be more well-rounded,
right?
Number one. So yeah,
you have seen some great. Even last year, Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's an 1,800-yard guy.
Yeah. And Puka, if he's not biting people, he had a hell of a season.
But the diddler, Puka. I don't know what's going on with that. Come on, Puka.
Those were the best receivers last season. And they both were on very good teams. But yeah, I don't have any doubt that, and I know the Eagles don't have any doubt that he could do it. My lone question is, can he hold up? Because he is 170 pounds. And if you're a true wide receiver 1, well, I don't know. You look at AJ Brown's targets. That's how many targets you're going to get. And, are you going to hold up? That's a little bit of a question. But from a talent perspective, no question, he's a wide receiver 1 in this league.
And how much do you think it changes, John, when, look, the reality is AJ and DeVonta both help each other, right? DeVonta's job gets easier when AJ Brown's on the field. I know also vice versa. AJ Brown's job is a little easier when you have a great receiver and DeVonta Smith on the other side. If we lived in a world for a second where AJ Brown is gone and the double teams might add up on DeVonta, they might be pulling help to take away DeVonta Smith. How do you see him handling those situations? Because it is different when you're a 2 and you got AJ taking every number 1 cornerback, away from you. Now you're going to be the number 1. That's a different type of game to play. How do you see DeVonta holding up in that environment?
Well, that'll depend on some of the complementary aspects. Who do you have? Do you have, is it just Hollywood Brown and Elijah Brown? Then probably not as well.
Yeah, well, I don't think it would be fair to DeVonta.
But if you draft Chris Bell or somebody, and you get more juice involved, he'd be fine. You saw him as a rookie set the franchise record for receiving yards as a rookie. AJ wasn't here. They were a playoff team. They weren't supposed to make the playoffs. Not that Alabama translates, but you saw him in Alabama as a Heisman winner. And it's still not easy to win a Heisman as a receiver. He's just a great football player. He's like the Cooper DeJean of offense. He's going to do whatever he can be 1, he can be 2, he can play in the slot, he can play outside. No, he's not going to be an X, because his size, but and the funny thing is he's a good 50-50 ball guy because he's got a great vertical leap and he high points the football over everybody. That's the last guy I'm worried about on the Eagles offense. And he's the only Eagle who, in my opinion, either improved or maintained last season on offense. Only offensive player. Oh, you're muted.
I do think DeVonta is an elite talent, but John, I'm not saying this about DeVonta, but I think there's a difference, right? Of like elite talents and then producing on the field. How many times have you seen a guy who's got elite talent and they don't live up to that talent on the field? I'm not saying that's DeVonta. I'm just saying I think when a talent perspective on the player, he's got everything it takes. Now we just got to see him kind of translate it to being a true wide receiver number 1, if it comes to that. I'm kind of starting to wonder, John. I don't know. I was listening to that Albert Breer bite yesterday, and I'm like, if this is a pissing contest between the Patriots and the Eagles.
That's what it is.
It is. And think about the draft. We just talked about the wide receivers in the draft. Are they going to be willing to trade for AJ come June 1 if the Eagles really want to wait till June 1? I don't know. You're playing with fire there if you're Howie.
Well, Howie's stubborn. But there's windows, and the window will open. And one window will close, and another window will open. Gone back to Zach Ertz. He was stubborn with Zach, and he eventually traded him, but he traded him in season.
Trading him in season would be ridiculous for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. I mean, what is that? What is that?
Well, yeah, I mean, different and different level of player as well. But it would only happen if things were going off the rails. Yeah, I mean, and they weren't. If they're a true Super Bowl contender at the time, they're not going to move them. Then it ships back to next off season.